So the next section, we're going to talk more about type 2 thinking. Type 2 is effortful, slow, deliberate, and lazy. It is responsible for the allocation of attention, and it's identified by the feeling of agency, choice, and concentration. Now I'm going to start by talking specifically about this allocation of attention because I think it might be the hardest concept to grasp here. I'm going to show you this very short video of an illustration of how we allocate our attention. And I'd like you to watch this video and play along with the game.
Count how many times the players wearing white pass the basketball.
Okay, so based on some of the laughs in the room, some of you probably have seen this before. How many people have seen it before? Is anyone not seen it? Okay. For the people who didn't see it, did you see a gorilla? Yes. So about 50% of the people who have never seen it before completely miss the gorilla in the room. And the reason, it's true, and it's been validated in a whole variety of studies, and the reason it happens is because we're focusing our attention so much on counting the players that are passing the basketball, we don't have a reserve of attention for thinking about random things happening like a gorilla popping up. Now, because many of you have seen that before, I want to show you an example of how this happens to other people.
Watch what happens as the unsuspecting pedestrian provides directions. The young man on the left is one of the experimenters. He has approached the white-haired man and asked for directions. Watch closely as two people carrying a door pass between them, and the first experimenter is replaced by someone else. Like many of the people in this study, the pedestrian was entirely unaware that he was talking to a different person. Approximately 50% of the people approached in this study didn't notice when the person they were talking to was replaced by someone else.
Yes, so that's kind of a fun example if you've already seen this gorilla study of watching someone else get tripped up by that. And they've replicated that with different people of different genders, people of different heights, people with different clothing on, people with different socioeconomic status. If you're doing something hard, like giving someone directions, you don't pay attention to other information in the world. And that is because our system that's involved with effort is limited. We only have a certain amount of effort we can give to any task. So when you're trying to give directions, all of your effort is going towards giving those directions, and you fail to notice other information in the world. Let me give you an example of how this effort system works. I'm going to show you a sequence of words on the screen, and all of them have different colored text. This one is red text, and the word is red. So what I would like you to do is to look at this word, and I'd like you to yell out the color of the word and not what the word is. Okay? Does everyone understand? Just the color of the word. Okay, what's this one?
Red, green, orange, blue, pink, blue. Red, green, pink.
Very good. Okay. Right. So as everyone noticed, when we were in a circumstance like this, it was very easy. You easily, automatically could read this word, it is pink, and you didn't have to think deeply about it. But as soon as there was a disconnect here, when you had to focus your attention on the color and ignore the word, that's when you had to start using some energy, some mental effort to do this task. And that's what attention is really about, is focusing your attention to one task and ignoring some other thing out there in the world. And type 2 processing is what helps us do that, to focus our attention on one task versus another. Okay. Type 2 is effortful, slow, deliberate, and lazy, responsible for the allocation of attention, and is associated with working memory. This term working memory is going to come up a lot in this class, and it's a very complicated topic, but we're going to start with a very simplistic definition, which is that working memory is associated with effort. So anytime you're doing something effortful, you're using working memory. And there's some properties about working memory that we need to know. Working memory is limited in its capacity, meaning that we only have a certain amount of working memory that we can use on any given task. We're kind of like a battery that can be recharged. As soon as we're using all of our energy on one task, that means we don't have as much working memory to use on another task. It involves holding information in the mind for a short period. Working memory is what allows us to do the mathematical problem, and like this gentleman did, hold information in your mind and then combine that information in your mind. It's also different different people have various amounts of working memory capacity. We all actually don't have the same ability to hold information in our mind for a short period. I actually have a really low working memory capacity, and there's different tests you can do to measure how much working memory capacity you have available. The last thing I'd like to note is that working memory is highly correlated with physiological measures like pupil dilation. If you look at this video, pay attention to that person's pupils. You can see them expand and contract based on that person thinking deeply about what they're seeing there. And you can actually do this when you go home tonight. Look in a mirror and think of a hard math problem and watch your pupils expand and contract. It's really cool. It's fairly easy to do when you're at home. Your pulse will also increase. You'll start to sweat when you're working more hard on a problem. There's lots of physiological signifiers of working hard on a problem.